Hi, my name is Bailey Lovett and I'm a Year 13 student at James Hargis College, and this is my project, Bacterial Bivalves. The purpose of this project was to investigate microbial contamination of shellfish in the Riverton area, and this involves several objectives. Determine levels of fecal contamination in shellfish and water samples at 3 different sites at Riverton over a period of 6 weeks. To determine whether there is a relationship between environmental conditions and levels of fecal contamination by capturing a high flow event such as flooding or heavy rainfall. To try to trace back to the sample of contamination, should any be found, and to communicate my overall research and findings to the public. There was not much existing knowledge prior to the conduction of this investigation. Annually, Environment Southland, the host organisation which I ran my project through, tests water quality and shellfish quality in these areas, and although the quality had been of concern for some time, an in-depth investigation had not been conducted. During my period of 30 days sampling, I followed a set method. Each morning, I would go to Environment Southland and gather my field gear, such as sampling bottles used to collect the water, a YSI meter used to record physical data of the water conditions and weather conditions in the areas, and field sheets which were used, such as this one, which were used to record the data and relate it back during the results process. I would then proceed to collect my samples. At Riverton Rocks, a shellfish site, I would collect 20 mussel samples, a water sample as well as YSI data. At Jacobs River Estuary, at the fish co-op, the other shellfish site, I would collect 40 cockles, YSI data and a water sample. And at the bathing site, Jacobs River Estuary at the railway bridge, I would collect a water sample plus every 2 days a trace sample, which could be used later to trace back to the source of contamination if any was found. The results which I discovered following the completion of the sampling period in which a high flow event was obtained were astounding. The regulation for a safe level of fecal coliforms in shellfish is 230 per 100 grams. However, at the fish co-op site, during the peak of the high flow event, as you can see in my research pages, was 5,400 per 100 grams, 23 times the safe guideline. The Riverton Rocks, the fish co-op site, and the Jacobs River Estuary also exceeded the water guideline of 14 fecal coliforms per 100 mils during the high flow event, and this suggested that there was definitely a relationship between the environmental conditions or flow of the water in the estuary and at the sites in relation to the contamination of shellfish. A discussion into the statistical analysis which I conducted, which was incredibly in-depth and complex, can be found in my research pages, and it details the clearance rates of the shellfish in the different areas and why the fish co-op took much longer for the shellfish to clear the contaminated water than the marine site did. Overall, there were some difficulties with my investigation. For example, you couldn't collect mussel samples at high tide because the mussels were only found at the low tide mark. So some days where the low tide was at 4 AM or 12 PM, I wasn't able to go out and collect shellfish, and so I could only get a water sample from that area. Also, there was only one high flow event captured, which meant that I couldn't compare my results between high flow events, and I couldn't show a strong 100% sure relationship between environmental conditions and fecal contamination. Also, due to lack of funding, I was not able to trace back to the source of contamination in the area, but this is a topic of future interest. Following the completion of my project, I reported my findings to the Invercargill City Council, who were very concerned about the levels of contamination in the area, and so far Environment Southland has reviewed their regulations for safety of collecting shellfish and are altering their 2-day ban, which is unsuitable because the fish co-op site took 5 days to get below the safe level of shellfish contamination, and so this regulation is being looked at and is likely to be altered as a result of my Overall, I feel that all of the objectives in the project were answered, and I hope to further my research in this project in the future. Thank you.